Yeah, I believe like every generation of man, of humans who are all who lived their life and had a soul inside of them that attain enlightenment, attain the eternal light, they return back into their former state. It's like the Egyptian life force, which is called the Ka, and the Ba, the Ka and the Ba. Someone's spiritual double, your soul, when it's released from its time on the earth as a living creature on the earth. If it becomes a living creature in heaven, it returns into its natural state where it belonged to in any age, I say, in the seven seals of divine revelation. Like each seal is 1,000-year period, a millennium. So just like the first human souls were created, the Alman and the mate, like they say in the Bible, Adam and Eve in the garden. Their return was back to God and their habitation in heaven. So I believe that, like the first created beings, Adam and Eve, or I say from the way I believe, the Alman, the Raf, he made Alman, and he made mates, a man, and his mate, a woman. And they returned back to God after their soul desired so long to go back to their original state, blessed in the garden, happy. And I see the garden is like 20,000 above, 20,000 feet above sea level in the mountains somewhere. Above sea level. In the garden paradise again with the first fruits that they lost when they lost paradise. Paradise lost. This is called Paradiso. So in a way, Dante preceded Milton, who was the great, is in one of the great books too, Milton's Paradise Lost. And then the last one he wrote, Paradise Regained. But in Milton, when Milton died, he was beheaded by the Church of England, and they wanted to, they came against him and put him to death. So, I mean, he didn't really regain paradise. So this is like all of the great writers. Dante was in the 13th century. So when Dante ascended to heaven, he ascended to his 13th century in the Christian age. Paradise for himself with his wife, Beatrice, his queen. When he ascended to heaven, he was greeted by the angels. He showed you all of the luminaries and the living bodies in heaven, the heavenly bodies. He wanted to be released from his earthly body and be in heaven with the spiritual creatures in the spiritual realm. That's what he was talking about in that last canton I read. So, and I was thinking about the same thing. Since this is the year right now, as I speak, 2019. And this is the 500th year, the 500th year since the Spanish Inquisition conquered the Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca in South America. And I believe those people had an enlightenment, and they was a civilized nation of people before the bad thing happened to them, which was the invasion of the Spaniards coming in and robbing them and lying to them, cheating them, and stealing away everything they own, and destroying them and spilling their blood and just killing them, and brought this great Western schism on them and destroyed our people off the earth, and the Inca went extinct. The Maya and the Aztecs are almost an extinct tribe of people off the earth. We're not in our true nature and our form anymore. So, say for instance, those people believed in God in the 13th and the 14th and the 15th century, before 1519 AD, in the 16th century. And I believe those people had a soul in them that returns back into their enlightenment in their true form and happen with God before this evil thing that's happened to them that has left the land in ruins, like at Machu Picchu. And they're above sea level, 15 and 16,000 feet above sea level, and they built their city in the mountains. They were a human being, they were living people, civilized, and they had souls inside of them. And you cannot forget what happened to them. So every time you go to those ruined cities and those ruined places, those souls are still over those things you're finding. And we believe in the Sumerian program of all of these sun-like temples or moon-like temples, or all these temples are based on something that happened in a god or something that presides over them. So, and those people had souls in them who created them and built them. In them civilized cities that were heinously attacked and massacred off of the land, and now this evil thing is over the earth in the 21st century, 500 years later. I always think about that every day. And I believe like the souls of those people over all of those relics you find in all of these ruined cities. All over the world, not just in Mexico, not just in Egypt, Southeast Asia, India, Cambodia, Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, Barabadu. I just got so many names on the list. And now they're inhabited by the Gentiles who know not what they are or who they belong to, or know not the true nature of those things. And when the story is being retold, it's called Hellenism. You have a European trying to tell you their point of view, and their scientific point of view is not the historical truth about those things. So from the people who they belong to need to tell you what they were, what they are about, and who they belong to. You need to listen to the historical record of these people who they belong to. And most of the time, since this tribe of people went extinct, there's no one left to tell you the story. The beauty of this is about the Egyptian people. They really told you who they were. It rang through your eardrums and your souls. Were already foretold who they are and who these things belong to. The Egyptians was wonderfully setting a balance on that note. And the transmigration going to happen, and knowing that one day that these people are going to invade us. And when they find these things, I have laid the Pharaoh's curse on you. King Tut's curse is on his treasures. He knew that his day was going to come to an end before his time. And these people were going to come after he died. And I know he only imagined what they were going to do. And before he died, the Pharaoh's curse was inlaid on his tomb. So, in the ancient language, in the 13th and the 14th century before Christ. So, I mean, they were souls and enlightened ones in their generation, in their age. And I'm sure those people who those Egyptian treasures belong to, now their souls are in heaven with God somewhere, in files and ranks, on how great they were in heaven. Like it was on earth as it is in heaven now. He's in heaven now, the real King Tut. And he's looking down over those things that they have taken from him in this world when he was alive on this earth. But now he's in heaven. You know, it's the same thing. Those things belong to a people in an age and a generation of people within a 7,000-year grid. That's what I'm trying to say. And each one of those souls that belong to whatever particular seal in this 7,000-year period since man was created. And we haven't completed the 7-year round yet, when man is going to become complete and his history and everything is going to be fulfilled, and it's going to become paradismal again for the living creatures on this earth after the seventh seal is complete. So, this is supposed to open up. When it's open, we haven't reached that day yet, and I believe I'm in the sixth seal, in a 6,000 year period, a 60th century where man was on the earth. And I belong to this generation of people in this age. Maybe not particularly of this particular day with the young people, but I am of this era. From the year 1970s to the current day, 2019. I'm still relevant in this era. So, I'm in the 60th century. Man, 6,000 year period on the earth, and the sixth seal of divine revelation, whatever the oracle tells me at the Apollo from Sol, the sun god, telling me, and the wheels of time are going to, whatever he says, it's going to play out. Like a chariot from the sun. He's going to walk you right into it. Whatever he says is ordained to happen for this, time period that I belong in. I'm going to visit the Inca, the Maya, the Aztecs on the Indian territories. I'm going to visit Borobudur in Southeast Asia, Hindu Kush, who left their tradition on the walls in all of their famous temples like Borobudur, Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom. We see what they believed in. We saw their life, on walls and on temple walls and stone, and they had a magnificent city that seemed to be far more advanced than the current generation of people I live in today in the United States. They can't compare to that generation of people, which would have been like the 14th, 15th century, 13th century, 12th century, 11th century. Reigned 1,000 years with Christ in the 1,000 year CA period. Year 900, year 800, the classic Maya period. And the 200 and 300 in the Christian age. People of every age and time has a file and rank in heaven. And those are higher who already lived already. Just like the first people who were created on the earth. They will be in the highest rank in heaven when their souls return back to God into the eternal light, Within the 7,000 year period, the first created beings who believed in God. Biblically, who was the first one? The seventh from Adam in the Bible, Enoch, is now an archangel who they call Metatron. Now he's an archangel in heaven. He's not a human body no more. He's a heavenly body. He is in the supernatural now. With all the wrapped up heaven inside of him. His eyes like crimson lightning and flames, And that's where I believe I have been taught my divine nature. Over my earthly life, I'm a living person named Anthony Wayne Jackson. Somebody that can bleed and die on this ground. Somebody's going to have problems. Somebody's going to get into fights and have conflicts with people. But the divine nature that is over this young man right here has made him to be this almighty antho figure. This Vice Lord Too Smooth thing. Next to God, Vice Lord. Too Smooth, Ta. Smooth, the enlightened one. The God of wisdom and knowledge. That's Enoch in the Bible. He's an archangel now. They call him Metatron in this Reformed Egyptian, Greek, and English that you speak. They call him Metatron. And Egyptian hieroglyphs call him Thoth, the Atlantean. The ancestor of the Jaredites. The Jaredites, who are the original people of Libya in Africa. at the Sahara, you know. You see that parched land at the Sahara,